Hi everyone, my name is Vince and this is my channel Vince Cooper Games. Today we're going to be looking at my solitaire war game, Bloody Lane, and specifically we're going to be looking at the Union event phase. To give you some more information, this is an example of a player sheet. This is actually a beginner player sheet, which you can choose the difficulty level of how you want to play the game. The Union event phase utilizes this part here. This is the Union event table. It utilizes this part here, which some of the events you have to determine a target Confederate counter. So if you roll 1d6 and get a 1, you're going to target the 6th Alabama. And here you have a summation of the various Union events. We'll take a look at an example, but to give you some background, first of all, every turn in the Union event phase, you're going to roll 4d6 4 times. If you roll a 7, for example, you're going to resolve the light fire event. There are 2 columns, A and B. You're going to resolve the event from column A in turns 1 to 5 and 11 to 15. And you're going to resolve the event from column B in turns 6 to 10 and 16 to 20. So as you mark off each event, as you resolve each event, you mark it off in the relevant column. So if you rolled a 7 and you got light fire and it's turn 1, you would write a 1 here. That means that at the end of 5 turns, you will have resolved 4 events in turn 1, so 1, 1, 1, 1, 4 events in turn 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 4 events in turn 3, 4 events in turn 4, 4 events in turn 5. And there are 21 events, so one of those events will not have been resolved. Then at the end of turn 5, you go on to column B. If you rolled, for example, a 15 for column B, that would be reform, and in turn 6, you would write a 6 here. Okay, so that's the basic premise. Let's go through an example of play now. Let me just remove that. So we've got a very basic setup, okay? I haven't put the artillery there or the supplies or so on and so on. So we're just going to focus on the gameplay that's needed to resolve each event. I've also isolated the event table. Okay, this is a veteran level event table, and this is the how to determine which target Confederate counter the event will affect. So as you can see, we're simulating turn 5. So in turn 1, here I've marked off reform, light barrage, heavy fire, and the skirmisher event. In turn 2, we resolved smoke, we resolved heavy fire, we resolved light barrage, and another heavy fire event. In turn 3, it was skirmisher, light barrage, heavy fire, light barrage, and turn 4. So how it works is that, for example, if in turn 5 I roll, let's say, an 8, the skirmisher event has already been resolved. So I check the next higher number, which is 9 resolved, 10 resolved, 11 resolved, 12 resolved, 13 resolved, 14 resolved. Okay, 15 reform hasn't been resolved. So I would write a 5 in here and resolve that event. If you get to 24, if I roll 24 and that has been resolved, I go up to here, okay, number 4, and I would resolve, if it hasn't already been resolved, I would resolve the heavy fire event here. Okay, so this is turn 5. We're going to go through an example of resolving 4 events. So remember, we're going to roll 4d6 4 times. So let's go through the first event. Okay, so we have a 6, 2, 2, 5. That gives us a total of 15. If we look at the Union event table for 15, reform. Okay, so reform has not been resolved. So here we write 5, and we're going to resolve the reform event. Okay, so reform allows every Union counter on the battle sheet to make a cohesion check to try to increase its cohesion up to its maximum value in this case of 2, 2, and 2. So 5th Maryland, 4th New York have their maximum cohesion value of 2. So the reform event is not going to affect them. 1st Delaware, however, would have a maximum cohesion value of 2, but it's taken a hit, so its current cohesion is 1, and it has a crouch token attached to it. Okay, so to resolve a cohesion check, we roll 1d6, we compare the result to the modified cohesion. If the result is equal or lower, the cohesion check is successful. If it's higher, the cohesion check fails. In this case, a successful cohesion check will increase the cohesion of the 1st Delaware from 1 to 2. Okay, so we're going to roll 1d6, and we got a 6, so that's a failure. Had we rolled a 1, okay, had we rolled a 1, the cohesion token would be removed. Okay, it's cohesion 2, but any counter that has is at its maximum value, we don't need to place a cohesion token. So we know it's got a cohesion of 2, and we also remove the crouch token. Okay, so that's the first event. Okay, that was a reform. Let me just go around here. Okay, so we're going to roll 46 again for the second event of turn 5. And this time we got a 12. So 12 is a light barrage, it's marked off. 13 is reform, marked off. Heavy fire, marked off. Reform, we just resolved. Heavy fire, marked off. Light barrage, marked off. Skirmisher, heavy fire, reform, light barrage. Okay, so the next event that hasn't been marked off is number 22, smoke. Okay, so to resolve the smoke event, this is very simple. You get a smoke token and you put it up here in the smoke box. Okay, the smoke token imposes a -1 penalty to both Union and Confederate counters when they're performing an attack. Okay, so after the Union event phase, it'll be the Union action phase followed by the Confederate action phase. In the action phase, the Union will attempt to fire. If they do, they'll suffer a -1 penalty. And in the Confederate action phase, if the player determines that he wants the counter to fire, that counter will also suffer a -1 attack penalty. So the smoke token remains there for the rest of the turn. Okay, that was a smoke event. So again, down here, let's write 5 here to indicate it. So we've done 2 events so far, a reform and a smoke event. So again, we're going to roll 46 again to determine the third event. Just move this back into camera. Okay, so here we have a 6, 6, and a 3 and a 1. That's 16. So if we look at the event table, 16 would be heavy fire, it's scratched off, scratched off, scratched off, scratched off, scratched off. Smoke is 22, we just resolved it. So the next one is 23, skirmisher event. So here we're going to write 5 again. Okay, it's turn 5. Okay, the skirmisher event potentially affects the officers. Okay, I won't go into the details right now, but the officers determine the number of inspire actions the Confederate player can take during the Confederate action phase. So it goes from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. Once it reaches 0, the Confederate player can no longer choose the inspire action, but I'll cover that in another video. So to resolve this event, okay, you roll 1d6. If the result is a 1, it drops from 4 to 3. So let's see what we get. And we got a 4. So the skirmisher event had no effect. Had it been a natural 1, we would remove the officer value 4 token and replace it with an officer value 3 token, meaning that in the Confederate action phase, the Confederate player can only choose and resolve up to 3 inspire actions. Okay, so we've now resolved, what was it, reform, smoke, and skirmisher. Okay, so there's one more to go in turn 5, so we're going to roll 46 again. Okay, and we got a 16. So 16 heavy fire, scratched off, scratched off, scratched off. So you can see here, all the events up to event 24 have already been resolved. So we go from 24 to 4, which has not been resolved. This is a heavy fire event. So we're going to write 5 here. And we're going to resolve the heavy fire event. Heavy fire requires you to determine... The heavy fire event requires you to determine a target Confederate counter. Okay, this is done by rolling 1d6 and comparing the result to the tables. So let's do that. Okay, so the result is a 1. Okay, so a result of 1 indicates that it's a 6 Alabama. A roll of 6 would mean that you re-roll until you get a target Confederate counter. So the 6 Alabama is going to suffer the heavy fire event. 6 Alabama currently has a cohesion value of 4. To resolve the heavy fire event, we're going to roll 1d6. If the result is a 1 or a 2, the cohesion of 6 Alabama will drop from 4 to 3. And we got a 6, so that event also failed. Okay, let's say it's a 2, however. Then we would remove the cohesion token, value 4, and replace it with the cohesion token, value 3. Okay, and that's it. We've resolved 4 Union events. We've written the turn number 5 in the relevant box, okay, of column A. So in the next turn is going to be turn 6. So during the Union event phase, we're going to use the event from column B, and we're going to mark it off here. So we're going to write 6, 6, 6, 6 somewhere in column B. Okay, and that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. That's the Union Confederate phase, the Union event phase. So see you in the next video.